evident in the Elminster series was that Mystra wasn't conceptual, right? Mystra like could be spoken with, she could be communicated with. She was something that was like, I don't want to say fully tangible, but was something that wasn't just a concept out in the ether. And I think that goes back to what you were just saying about kind of like the Roman and the Greek gods, how they were fallible and that they kind of just super people. And that always made it feel very rooted to me and very grounded, because just giving it that kind of identity offers it credence and like legitimacy and really like strengthens that immersion for me personally. And I think other people would agree.
Yeah, and the other thing about because TSR storytellers seem to want to kill Mystra every 5
what the hell's with that? It's like every 3 seconds.
But it actually created a great opportunity for me because, okay, first of all, how can you kill Mystra when she's more powerful than everybody? Oh, okay, so obviously her power has to be limited. She has to vest it in various mortals, the Chosen and others, who are either witting or unwitting weave anchors. They're all over the world, so it's all the powers invested in her. And the other thing is, when she's given this power to a mortal, she can't wrest it away from them. Yeah. I mean, she can by destroying, sure, but that means she loses the power until it finds its way very slowly back to her through the weave. She is lessened, diminished, and she dared do that because once it's the old thing of once other powerful entities like deities realize that her Chosen could be killed, well, they're going to start killing them all over the place. So she's got to avoid that. So what you end up with is a Mystra who is a rookie, a mortal replacement, who is actually depending on her older Chosen, like Elminster and Keldon and the Seven, for advice. So and therefore that puts the agency back in the hands of mortals. Yeah, and it emphasizes to readers and to players, your characters matter. It's not the gods telling you what to do. It's the gods trying to achieve things, but they can only achieve things through mortals because their own power depends in large part on how many mortals worship them. So mortals are important, but mortals are just as fallible, in fact, more so than the gods, and mortals are just as ignorant of what's going on and the consequences of what they're doing as they do it or before they do it as the gods. So there's lots of room for adventure. So yeah, that's to me. And the other thing that people, this is a misconception that some people have even today, that Mystra is a goody two-shoes and she's there to save the world. Mystra is neutral. She's there to increase the use of magic. So she doesn't want rulers or deities or priests to hoard magic and lord it over others. She wants everybody to get to use magic. If she can get little hopping frogs and stinky insects to use magic, she'll be deliriously happy. So as a result, her Chosen go around the world, leaving spell scrolls and spell books and magic items where people can find them, which is why you go into a dungeon or a tomb that somebody should have looted centuries ago, and there's something there for your player characters to find, because 5 minutes ago, some Chosen Mystra said, oh, the adventurers are heading this way, so I'll leave the scrolls right here for them to find.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite concepts for this place, Blue Alley.
Yes, yeah, I created the Blue Alley. It was a mini dungeon.
Yeah, the Mad Wizard would steal things just to see if adventurers could get through the Blue Alley, and he would leave them at the end. Yeah, and that was... Yep. I thought that was so fascinating to me. That was always one of my favorite little adventure hooks in all of Waterdeep, was the Blue Alley, just because it was so mysterious, and it was exactly what you were just saying.
Yeah, well, I had great fun in the Blue Alley. I had undead who were reduced to skeletal form, wearing ball gowns and dancing with each other, and I had all sorts of fun stuff in the Blue Alley, which was a sort of gauntlet depending on your literary curve, for you to run. And yes, and others have developed it for DM's Guild and so on, and done a really good job, by the way. But yeah, that was a mini dungeon that I ran, because I ran lots of mini dungeons in the realms, because it was more realistic and you could get through them in a short player. So it was more realistic for small compass things to exist in the realms, like one guy's tomb shouldn't cover acres and be 50 marbles deep, because somebody had to dig that tomb, and probably not the only guy who died. So you got to get this one finished before the next guy dies. So there were lots of little mini dungeons, and they also fit neatly into a 3 or 4 hour play slot at early Gen Con, which was one of the few conventions that I could go to, and that was one of the few opportunities for people to play together with other D&D players they didn't normally play with.
Are there certain classes that I guess manipulate the weave differently? And one of the first things that comes to my mind is kind of like sorcerers versus wizards versus warlocks, and these natural predispositions for using magics, and how that looks kind of behind the scenes, and some of like the narrative linchpins that hold it all together.
Sure. Okay. So the magic is known as the art in the realm, and by that they really mean all magic, but most people in daily mean arcane magic, because they think everything else is prayer. Okay. And the natural ability to wield magic at all is known as the gift. And some people have wild talents, as in it, they don't have to necessarily be taught. They can manifest, particularly in moments of heightened emotion, like grief or anger, like somebody's just wiped out your family in front of your eyes and you're a little kid, and with tears streaming down your face, you say, I hate you, I wish you were dead, laugh. And then when you do that, out of your fingertips or out of your eyes shoots magic, and you fry some unsuspecting raider, and then all the rest of the raiders kill you, because, oh my goodness, or you kill them all because you just go nuts, and then everybody around you says, oh, here's the gift to kill you.
I'm following a theme here.
Yeah. But if you flee into the woods before they can do that, then you could become a sorcerer, because you learn.
Not have to worry about his Mr. turning you into a woman against your will.
No. But no, a sorcerer is somebody who's learned some control over their natural gift, their wild talent. Now there are others. One that got de-emphasized in the game and then changed. My original spell singers were people who could dance in a ring, sing and dance in a ring, and unleash that way magic far more powerful than any of them could do by their own. And the nice thing about that in the early storytelling way was, if you grabbed one of these spell singers, if you were the evil duke or the king, and you grabbed this person, they literally can't help you on their own. So the thing about spell singers is, let us say for the purposes of argument that the spell singers are a bunch of beautiful women dancing around a fire late at night, because they need a focal point. And it could be anything. It could be a tomb. It could be, a stump, or it could be a weird shaped stone. But let's say they're all dancing around this focal point late at night, and say that they've done this several times in the past. So some people have spied on them and know they do this. So they hear the singing in the woods late at night, and they tell the king or the baron, now's a good time to grab them. So the king and baron's men sneak through the woods, and they run out and pounce on one of them. All the others flee shrieking, and they grab one and they put her in chains. Okay, she can't help them. She can't even dance now that she's in chains. And if they're scared of what she's been doing, they might have put a gag on her or just shove their hand over her mouth, but she can't sing. And then they say, do magic. She can't do magic. So therefore, she's useless to them unless they can get all the others. But even if they get all the others, how are they going to force them? Well, they can threaten them, dance and sing in a circle, or we'll kill your loved one here. Well, yeah, what's to stop them dancing and singing in a circle to unleash magic that kills all the guards and saves their loved one? And so that storytelling reason gave us spellslingers, which also gave us the idea that, hey, you could wield powerful magic and not be the stereotypical crotchety old wizard who had to learn stuff for years, and without being the wicked witch who has to shove Hansel and Gretel in the oven and cook them because, hey, evil witch. There were other ways of accessing magic that didn't play into those stereotypes, which again meant that you couldn't trust anybody you met in the realms, which meant, again, it was more realistic and it was forcing you to roleplay. Or if you were reading fiction, it was opening up possibilities on all sides, because you couldn't go, guy with beard like Ed here, wearing long robes equals powerful wizard. You couldn't automatically assume that, oh, powerful wizard, put an arrow through him before he does something dangerous. Instead, you put an arrow through the old guy with the wizard, and the little girl who's been trundling along behind the wizard carrying his water puts the water down and blasts you to kingdom come. Because just like in that movie they did, I think it was called Sleuth or Clue, where Sherlock Holmes, played by Michael Caine, was an idiot, and Dr. Watson, played by Ben Kingsley, was solving all the... Oh, wait, you could pull that one all the time. Because you're not only shaking out their stereotypes, you're giving them a way more interesting story. They're all of a sudden, they're paying attention. Oh my goodness, anything could happen, which is what you want at the gaming table, and also what you want when you're writing a story. You want occasional chaos where the reader is saying, yes, 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 kill the bad guy, save the princess, blah, blah, blah. But I mean, until then, you don't want it to be totally predictable. You want things to change. So you want to, anything could happen. That's what you want. And that's what I'm here for. Let's make anything happen. That's what this game does. That's what, fiction does. Let's have anything happen. So that's what we do. And that's the true magic. The true magic is not mumbo jumbo and then stuff happens. The true magic is anything could happen, because magic works. Magic's real. So anything could happen. Just be careful you're not standing there at ground zero when it does happen.
That's a good moral. That's a good way to cap it off there. That's fantastic. Hey, it looks like you made it to the end of the video. Awesome. Thank you so much for sticking with us. If you like what Ed had to say, be sure to hit the like button. If you want to see more videos like this, go ahead and subscribe, and then definitely hit the bell icon if you want to know when more videos like this are coming up, because it's going to start happening a lot more frequently. Don't forget to go to patreon.com/EdGreenwood to see extended versions of all these talks, plus like a ton more. And also I just want to say a huge thank you to all of our patrons that make this possible, especially the Legends of the Realms, Francisco Cabral, South Hill Sages, Stephen Snow, Martin Berlanda, John Foster, Gerald Brady, Hunter Weber, Michael Scattergood, Jeremy E. Grenemeyer, Robert McDonald, Fire Wraith, Melody Sigers, Gustavo Tortato, Puffles, Brian Kleutzel, and RPG Match. Also a big thank you to the sponsor of the series, RPG Match, which is a really cool new tool that tabletop role-playing gamers can use to find their perfect table anywhere in the world, as well as many realms.
So there you go. There is finally the answer. And I know Melody's been waiting patiently for so long.
I'm Ivan of Many Realms, and on this episode of Realms Lore, I have the distinct pleasure of talking with Ed Greenwood about the much-requested kingdom of Cormyr. Cormyr, known as the Forest Country and the Land of the Purple Dragon. According to Ed, its first appearance was on a teaser map released by Dragon Magazine in 1986. Cormyr was later revealed in various other articles in Dragon, Ed's first Realms novel Spellfire, as well as the 1987 Forgotten Realms campaign set. One of my personal favorite facts about Cormyr is that it's where you're most likely to find Tressum, a breed of adorable flying cats with an uncanny intelligence and a penchant for mischief. Here's what Ed has to say about it.
The easy shorthand for somebody who doesn't know much about the realms and wants to know what is Cormyr and why is it here. And that used to be the old TSR question. What is this feature and why is it here? Meaning, like, what will we use it for? And so the short form for Cormyr is, if you need a country to have King Arthur and his round table in, this is that country. This is the good kingdom of the knights. And in fact, there was a TSR staff designer whom I won't name, who said they were planning for what would happen in the realms. And he said, this is much too nice a country. It just has to go away. Because he wanted a realms of infinite adventure possibilities. And the way of doing that was to do the points of light, where the whole world is going to heck in a handbasket, and you're stuck in the middle of it. So adventurers are in great demand. And therefore, the good, nice realm of law and order with wizards, war wizards who are the secret agents, the secret police, and I'm dropping inverted commas around secret police, because the secret police that everybody in the country knows about, so they behave, are backing up.
Not so secret police.
Backing up the knights who are everywhere, and the nobles who are backing up the knights, and there's law and order, and everything's good and hunky-dory, and the dragon's throne is police, because the secret police that everybody in the country knows about, so they behave, are backing up.
Not so secret police.
Backing up the knights who are everywhere, and the nobles who are backing up the knights, and there's law and order, and everything's good and hunky-dory, and the dragon's throne is where, is sat upon by people that everybody else looks up to. Oh, if I was ever a great hero, I'd want to be a king like him. And of course, if you're at court, you know that isn't quite accurate, but it's a great image. So that's Cormyr. And if you do want to have adventures or live or read about fiction set in a country that most of the time, except when we're writing about it, is at peace and has law and order and is safe to live in, that's the country.
That's funny. So was it first conceptualized as that, as kind of an analog for the Arthurian times, or is that something that kind of developed after talking about it and developing those correlations?
No, I had that before there was D&D. Okay, so think of, 5, 6, and 7-year-old Eddie. Okay, the movie Excalibur is years in the future, but I've been reading all my King Arthur Knight books, edited by Howard Pyle, written by Howard Pyle, or other ones were edited by Sterling Lanier or whatever, and they had all these great illustrations by Pyle or Wyeth or whatever of valiant knights and pure ladies and all this stuff. And I had this image of Sherwood Forest of Robin Hood fame as the gigantic oaks with limbs going everywhere, trees that dwarf castles, and they had tons of foliage hanging off them. And like the scene in Excalibur of all the knights riding in slow motion through the apple blossoms. So they're all riding in their armor and the apple blossoms are flying. Well, I was picturing them riding through a deep forest like all this. So the trees are dwarfing them, but they're still impressive. That to me is, I wanted to put that into my fantasy setting, and Cormyr was what I came up with to put it in. And then, of course, once it was there in fiction, it immediately became this thing where I can tell endless stories. If I think of Cormyr as France was, real world medieval France. Interesting. Real world medieval France, the king was first among equals. Meaning all the other noble families figured, okay, I'll have my turn on the throne, or our family will, because that royal family that's on the throne, they just happened to get lucky and grab the throne before we did. We're just as good as them. So the king is first among equals, as opposed to, no, that is the king, which is the sort of English way. I'm talking about mythology. For who shall ever draw the sword from a stone shall henceforth be rightful king of all England.